Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, BPL to sell 2 of its stations to Shell. We've got the details. Who's managing those donor pledges from Hurricane Dorian? Our TV unveiling new shows this season. Plus, Fit Friday is back.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Bahamas Power and Light has plans to sell 2 of its stations to Shell North America, according to BPL Chairman Donovan Moxey, who explained that BPL will build Substation D and sell it to Shell along with Station A.
We're building the plant, we're investing in it. And so what we'll end up doing, and what Shell will do, is Shell will create an entity, and that entity itself will purchase the plants from us. And they will then have their own Bahamian entity, that's the PowerCo.
The deal currently being negotiated between Bahamas Power and Light and Shell North America would see BPL build and sell the 2 stations to Shell, and in turn pay Shell to supply electricity to Bahamians. Moxey explains.
Station A is the 132 megawatt that was released in December. Station D is the 90 megawatt. 90 plus 132 gives you roughly 230. Both of those stations will then represent PowerCo, or the power company. Shell will purchase those assets from BPL. BPL will still retain some level of ownership in PowerCo, and as an operating entity, a commercial entity, then there will be an IPO. And so Bahamians will now have opportunity to own PowerCo.
BPL intends to start construction on this new Station D in March. Moxey said there are certain aspects of the deal that still need to be worked out, including how much BPL would pay Shell to supply electricity and how much Bahamians will be able to own in the 2 companies.
So we're negotiating 2 very important definitive agreements right now. One's called an asset purchase agreement on APA, the other's called the PPA, or power purchase agreement. And then obviously there are shareholder agreements that fall out from there as well. And so we're just working through that. So our timeline now to get those first 2 definitive agreements done is by the end of March this year.
Shell's LNG Market Development General Manager Marcus Hector said despite Shell having majority shares, their goal is for Bahamians to get maximum ownership of both entities.
20-year plus agreement, and it's very important to get a rights for both parties because it's something new for the Bahamas. And for us, it's a really fantastic opportunity to be involved in this LNG to natural gas to power delivery value chain. So we are in a great partnership, I would say. We're in a very advanced stage. We've made lots of good progress on the development of this as a technical developer. We in fact have spent millions of dollars over the last year and a half to get this project progressed.
Last November, BPL signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Shell Gas and Power Development, which establishes Shell as their project developer and will include the development of marine infrastructure to receive liquefied natural gas, a gas pipeline to bring gas to shore, and a new gas-to-fire 220 megawatt power plant.
The deal here that we are trying to bring to fruition and that we're working very hard on and that we're planning to conclude in March is to bring LNG here for power generation. No doubt in my mind that having LNG in the Bahamas gives great opportunity for the future.
Police on Grand Bahama are investigating a possible suicide. According to police, officers on the island visited the scene on Seascape Lane off Royal Palm Way this morning to investigate the death of a male. In other news, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness, Carl Smith, is defending the government's partnership with the United Nations Development Program and the decision to have the UNDP establish and manage a trust fund made up of Hurricane Dorian pledges. Jasmine Brown reports.
Smith was adamant that the UNDP would not be acting alone or making all the decisions by itself as he sought to clarify their role in post-Dorian recovery efforts. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced the decision to contract the UNDP during Bahamas Business Outlook on Thursday. His announcement prompted questions about why the government would need a foreign entity to manage money earmarked for hurricane relief in the country.
Around the world, private sector persons are reluctant to leave their monies with governments because governments have a tendency to place their monies in the general coffer.
The government received $1.5 billion in pledges for Hurricane Dorian relief during a special conference on Monday. The pledges include technical assistance, intellectual assistance, concessionary loans, equity, grants, and guarantee financing.
The UNDP is managing those funds in collaboration with the Bahamas government.
Smith added that the UNDP has experience with developing such funds, and this method will add transparency to the process.
They have a mechanism that already exists, the details of which we would have to work out for the Bahamas itself, whereby they will manage those funds in collaboration with us, in collaboration with the donors who donated their money.
The $1.5 billion pledge includes a $975 million loan offer from the U.S.-based P3 Group, Inc. The money would be repaid with interest if accepted. Prime Minister Minnis said on Thursday that the government would decide which pledges to accept in the coming weeks. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Electricity is expected to be fully restored on the island of Abaco by the end of March, according to Bahamas Power and Light Chairman Donovan Moxey. He said when Hurricane Dorian hit Abaco, it presented a setback for BPL.
Up to this Monday, the progress in Abaco is such that the Central Primary High School is 100% up. So is the Government Treasury Building. So is the Spring City has been electrified. The Water and Sewage Corporation well field is now 100% up and running. And we're working on all of the other parts of Abaco to bring Abaco back to being electrified by the end of March.
Moxey said BPL has been working in silence on the island since September.
And we began working to the point where we focused on doing the work, and we didn't really tell a lot of people about what we were doing in terms of our successes. So by the end of September, South Abaco was powered back on, from Wilson City down to Sandy Point. We've also gone and put in services in Crown Haven, going through all the way from Cooperstown, North Abaco by November, early November. We supplied the hospitals and the government offices, again, by the end of November.
Well, the installation of solar energy infrastructure on Ragged Island is nearly 50% complete, according to a top executive at the Canadian firm tasked with installing the system on the storm-ravaged island. Director of Tuglick Energy Business Development, Nicholas Sigwin, gave the update during the Canada-Bahamas Reconstruction and Resiliency Business Forum.
I would say that around 30-40% of the solar panels are installed. The liner on the ground is fully installed. The concrete beams are fully installed. The posts are fully installed. And now they're working into installing the solar panels.
Hurricane Irma devastated Ragged Island in September 2017. The damage was so extensive that the National Emergency Management Agency deemed the island uninhabitable. After the storm, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced that it would become a green island. However, there is still no government school, post office, administrator's office, police station, or clinic. Seguin said the solar plant is expected to replace the majority of diesel generation on that island.
And the intent from this system is to displace up to around 90% of the diesel fuel that was used for power generation on Ragged Island. So it will almost be entirely supplied by renewable energy. And when there's cloudy days, of course, the diesel generator will have to be there as a backup.
He added the plant will be able to withstand Category 5 hurricane winds.
Category 5, if I'm correct, is 156 or 157 miles per hour, so it's slightly above. We are working toward a stronger design up to 200 miles per hour with salt energy, but at the moment it's approved for 180 miles per hour.
Still to come, the Labor Director urges immigration officials to be more vigilant. Plus, Our TV unveils a new lineup of shows. Stay tuned.
Phone is good. Internet is good. TV is good. But why just pick one thing when you can have everything with Tria? Only $99 a month gets you phone, internet, and cable. That's everything you need for $99 a month. Ask for Tria. Call 601-2200 or email residentialsales@cablebahamas.com. Rev, you and us together.
You're watching Our News. Welcome back. Labor Director John Pinder says he's suspicious that some employers on the Family Islands are circumventing the work permit process by applying for multiple short-term permits. Jared Higgs reports.
maybe all the persons who want to work in the Bahamas should come through labor departments for us to ensure that you're not saying you come here for 90 days and you stay longer terms.
Right now, Pinder says if somebody wants to get a short-term work permit, his department isn't involved in the process. And after getting calls from employers out on the Keys, he's suspicious.
The system is if the employer wants to bring in a foreign worker on a short-term basis, 90 days or less, normally that work permit is granted by immigration without them receiving a labor certificate. But we have discovered that they keep getting extensions.
Pinder says sometimes those extensions amounted to 2 years of work. And one of the main consequences is lost jobs for Bahamians.
Employers are terminating Bahamian workers, but keeping foreign workers and bringing new foreign workers and saying these are short-term jobs. We need to do more investigation on that. But I don't know what role immigration is playing in it, but immigration needs to tighten up.
Our News reached out to Immigration Director Clarence Russell, but he had no comment on Pinder's criticism. Another consequence of this alleged practice, according to the Labor Director, is government revenue losses, as short-term permits are considerably cheaper than long-term permits. Ultimately, Pinder stressed that the burden is on government and its agencies when Bahamian workers can't find jobs.
That these foreign workers who are not supposed to be taking the place of Bahamians are made to leave the country after the short-term visit or after their contract had expired, and Bahamians who are supposed to be understudying them have received the training to replace them. There's less pressure on the NIB purse.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
From comedies to documentaries, Our TV will feature a lot more Bahamian content this year, starting next week. The channel introduced an exciting lineup of shows featuring some of the country's top comedians and actors. Vice President of Media David Burrows says their aim is to fill the channel with Bahamian films and TV series that speak to every generation.
We promised you that we're going to bring you more local content, and this is one of the most exciting things that I want to bring to you today. Last year I met with some young talented people in the country. First one was a man by the name of Travolta Cooper. He came in and he showed me a clip of this television project that he was working on called Where in the World is Wally? Immediately I was blown away.
Where in the World is Wally makes its Our TV debut on Monday night at 8. Creator and actor Travolta Cooper described it as a Bahamian spin on the tales of Wally.
This hasn't been done in the Bahamas before. You know, what Rev is doing and what Our TV is doing really hasn't been done. You know, it's a Bahamian project that's been acquired by a Bahamian company, and they're bringing it to the Bahamas and beyond. And so this is going to be a success when all of you make it a success, you know. And it's a simple story. It's a Bahamian man that's missing, excuse me, and his family and friends are looking for him. The twist is he's also trying to locate himself.
Also on the new lineup is Broke Bosses, a thought-provoking comedy that takes you around the Bahamas and explores the minds of two young men whose good intentions sometimes result in bad outcomes. Entertainer Dasquay says he was excited to be a part of the project.
The project is about two young men hustling to secure the bag, to make that little bub, right? And to get a little corn. And they go through so much real life challenges to make this money. Of course, they have their ups and downs, and it's a real depiction of what a lot of young people go through.
Alive opened a new location this morning on Cable Beach. Chief Alive Officer Damian Blackburn said while it took the company a while to choose the right location for its Cable Beach location, he feels they made the right choice.
It has taken a while for us to pick the right location for our store in Cable Beach. We didn't have it from launch, but I hope you all agree that the wait was worth it, and the patience of our customers was worth it, because we're in a fantastic location here. And of course we've had the benefit now of operating, as Patrice said, stores, branded stores in nearly all of the islands in the Bahamas. And really the Cable Beach Experience store here has been built off a lot of the learnings that we've had in those other stores. So thank you very much to all of the retail teams right across the islands.
The new store is Alive's 7th location in New Providence. The cellular service provider also boasts 12 locations throughout the Family Islands. General Manager Patrice Thompson said the new location will be used to host many Alive promotions.
This store will be used to host many new and exciting talks regarding smart homes and connected lifestyles. So stay tuned for upcoming events as we move forward.
Still to come, preparations underway for Marathon Bahamas Race Weekend. Plus, Fit Friday is back. Stay tuned.
Phone is good. Internet is good. TV is good. But why just pick one thing when you can have everything with Tria? Only $99 a month gets you phone, internet, and cable. That's everything you need for $99 a month. Ask for Tria. Call 601-2200 or email residentialsales@cablebahamas.com. Rev, you and us together.
Over 2,000 people from around the world are expected to participate in the 11th annual Marathon Bahamas Race Weekend. President of Sunshine Insurance, Paul McQueenie, says the event set for this weekend now qualifies as one of the top marathons in the world.
It's been fantastic. We expect to have well over 2,000 participants again for the Susan J. Komen event, and approximately about 1,000 for the marathon itself. The marathon has been sold out. The marathon now qualifies as the world, as a qualifier for the 6 top marathons in the world.
Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure begins at Montague Beach on Saturday morning, while Marathon Bahamas takes place on Sunday morning, beginning at Abaco Key. McQueenie says the events demonstrate the company's involvement in the community by contributing $500,000 to charities with a special focus on cancer care.
Okay, it's 2 events really. Race Weekend comprises 2 events. The first event is the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure, which is strictly a charitable event. And all of the proceeds substantially go towards back into the community to certain beneficiaries who are focused on cancer care, a broad array of cancer initiatives, including the fight for the cure as well too. So, and for the last 9 years, we put back into the community over $500,000.
Cable Bahamas is a sponsor of Race for the Cure. Senior Public Relations Coordinator Gabrielle Burrows says the company looks forward to the annual event.
We partner with them in a number of different ways. So one would be we provide Wi-Fi services, we provide push-to-talk devices. Our commercial team has done that in partnership with Alive. And we also provide coverage on our TV. So it's satisfying. As a corporate citizen, it's our job to invest in the causes that are central to the community and that are important. And so we believe that this is a very important cause. It's a very well put together race. It's a fun time for the family. And so it's just a win all around.
Well, as athletes gear up for the 2020 Summer Olympics in Japan, 2 of the Bahamas' very own are looking to put the country on the map in a new event, the decathlon. They gave me a glimpse into training for those events. The hurdles, just one of 10 track and field events over the span of 2 days that make the decathlon one tough competition. And it's one 22-year-old Ken Mullings hopes to conquer as he sets his sights on Tokyo 2020. After breaking the national record last week, Mullings is hoping to make a name for himself in the sport.
Personally, on the agenda, if I could continue to stay in the top 5, hopefully I can make the world indoor team for the heptathlon. And if things go well and I stay healthy, hopefully 2020 Olympics.
And it's the same for Andrews native Kendrick Thompson, who too is making waves in the decathlon.
It's really good because every time I go home, everyone looks up to me as the guy who went off and achieving his goal and pushing. So everyone look up to me as the hero.
But as their season gets into full swing, the pair gave me a lesson on a few things, including the shot put.
Remember the key points, you're just trying to keep it to your neck, stay tall at the end, and punch the shot put. Make sure you turn this way, punch.
Okay. You want to do that one? Yeah, I can try to get it a little further. You know, they call me Chocolate Thunder. Pretty good first throw, but according to Mullings, could have been better. Okay, try. Okay, so I'm not the best at shot put. Next, the event where you rack up a whole lot of points. hurdles.
Don't jump hurdles, first of all. It's more like a running motion, running through the hurdles, like you're attacking the hurdles. You want to go into the hurdle. You don't want to jump up. Most people who start in the hurdles, they tend to jump, so they spend a lot of time in the air, so that makes a slower time.
Then I got to give it a try. While my form may not have been the best, I got over the hurdles. Then things got a bit more difficult. My goal was not to fall flat on my face.
You want to try to do it?
You bringing it up?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh boy. Where does my waist be? This ain't a good idea.
Hey! You can see, yeah. The trail came around here.
So I cheated?
Yeah.
Okay, so I cheated that one. Here goes one last try.
You are more aggressive. Just take off this jump. Bring your knee as high as you could.
Bring it as high as I can.
Yeah. Very good.
I did it though! I did it though!
Yeah. The lead leg was proper.
For these two young men, making their family, UB, and of course their country proud is all that's on their mind this year.